Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the third part in my 4-part series all about Africa Overland Safaris, which is an amazing, unique experience that you have to experience once in your lifetime. But if you've done the classic Central America, South America, Southeast Asia, Europe, and you're looking for something a bit more vibrant, a bit more different, and a bit more out of your comfort zone, I would definitely recommend to try an overland safari in East Africa. Make sure you go back and watch my other 2 videos because they are all about what to expect and day-to-day life, as well as which route to choose and how long to go for. Now, today's video is all about the cost and all the different things that you need to factor in when saving up for your overland safari. So as I've mentioned in my previous videos, the company that I went with was Absolute Africa. I had an amazing time and I found their offering for the different options of safaris and primarily to do with cost really great, and there was just such a big range depending on what your budget was and all the different types of activities that you wanted to do within that budget. So I'm going to briefly talk about the one that I did and then just kind of general costs that you need to factor in. So I did the classic component. I will insert like a little screenshot here, and this is from Nairobi in Kenya to the Victoria Falls. I believe they have a reverse one. I think they have reverse of majority of their safari. Base payment plus $620 for local payment, which I'll explain in a second. And I found this one covered a lot of like the big hitters through East Africa, and this one is called the Classic Safari Component. Majority of the other people on my tour were all doing the Classic Safari, the full one, which goes all the way to Cape Town, but for my budget and what I wanted to do, I was happy to just do up to Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. I also found that this particular safari got me the most activities for the best price. So I felt like my money was going further. But you can do your own calculations and work out what is right for you, and also with the time frame that you're working with. So next, let's talk about a breakdown of all the costs that you need to consider when you're going on an overland safari. So the number one thing is going to be flights. So these safaris mostly start in bigger cities that are relatively easy to fly to. You might have to get a connecting flight through other bigger cities like Egypt, for example, or even through Johannesburg in South Africa, depending where you're starting. So I flew directly from London to Nairobi, and then on my way back I was in Zambia, Livingstone, Zambia, and I flew from there to Johannesburg and then from Johannesburg to London. So flights are definitely going to be expensive. So I book all my flights through Skyscanner. I've used them for years. I will probably never use anything else. I have booked through third-party websites. I've never had any issues, but I'll let you do your own research on flights. And Skyscanner was the OG before Google Flights to have the multi-country option, but obviously in this case you will know exactly where you're going to, so you can see which is the cheapest date to fly on. So the next most important cost to budget in is travel insurance. I cannot stress this enough. Travel insurance, especially when you're traveling in a place like Africa, into all these different countries where things are not as accessible as where you are from, and resources are just a little bit more limited, which might mean they are a little bit more costly. And you should just have travel insurance anyway whenever you go on a trip, but it is definitely absolutely essential for a trip like this. So I've always used World Nomads travel insurance and have had a great experience with them. I've had to claim on 2 different occasions and the process has been super smooth and easy. I found them, you know, relatively okay in price, but some people find them really expensive. I think it just depends. I mean, I don't really think you can put a price on travel insurance. I would not skimp on travel insurance is basically what I'm saying, but do your research. You might have a local one to you that is reliable, trustworthy, and has great cover, but World Nomads had me covered for many years. So as I was talking about with the safari, the first safari related payment is the base payment. So for the one that I did, it was £1,850. This company is like a UK based company, so their prices are in pounds. There's other companies like G Adventures and Intrepid that also do these kinds of safaris. they'll have their payment prices all on their pages for all their different safaris, but I always found those were super expensive, and Absolute Africa, after my extensive research, was definitely the best value for money that I found. So the second part of your payment for the safari is local payment, and this goes towards just a myriad of different like road tolls, fuel, food, different things like that that are all part of your day-to-day safari experience. So that's just an amount that you have to bring in cash when you arrive for the first day of your safari, and I would always recommend getting the cash before you leave your home country or a Western country in US dollars so that you know it's legit and you also get the best rate. The next cost you have to consider is visas. So this will totally depend on your passport and the countries that you're going to. So on the Absolute Africa website, they have a section all about visas and how much they cost for the most common passports that they get. Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, South Africa, Irish, American, German, Dutch, etc. For some reason, some countries charge different amounts depending on your passport. For example, on my safari, there was a guy who was Australian, and so he had an Australian passport, but he also had dual citizenship and had an Irish passport. So some of the countries he entered in on his Irish passport because it was cheaper than the Australian one, and vice versa. And now the last safari specific payment that you need to consider is optional extras. So as it's implied, this is totally optional, but during your safari there will be certain activities that you might want to participate in that aren't included in the base cost. This is pretty normal for a lot of different group tours, whether you're doing a safari or a Europe tour, Asia tour, whatever. There will always be optional extras, and some of them are 100% worth doing, some of them are not. And it also depends on what you personally want to do. So for example, on ours, the houseboat, which is like 2 nights on Lake Kariba, was an optional extra, and there was a couple of people on my trip that were on the fence and not really that keen to do it. Then everybody got super excited about it and they got roped in. So luckily they did have money for it, but if they hadn't budgeted it in, they really might have missed out. So it's just important to go through and make sure you've got enough money for that. Now the last thing to budget in is your personal spending money. So this is going to cover things like lunches, a couple of dinners out where you go out as a group to a local restaurant, things like accommodation before and after the safari, any souvenirs, or just other general optional things that you want to buy. Some people bought alcohol, for example, just from the supermarket, or we sometimes went to a bar and people would have the odd beer. And the tour that I went on went to Zanzibar as well, where we went and had drinks, dinner, and kind of had a bit more of a nicer time. So I made sure I had some money budgeted in for that. So that is everything that you have to consider when budgeting for an Africa Overland Safari. I hope this video has helped. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any more videos just like this one or future videos. I would love to have you here as part of my channel. And as always, travel smarter, not harder, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!